Meeting the Amherst Township Trustees called to order. Please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Abraham?
Here.
Lynch?
Here.
Urick?
Yes.
And Kish is here as well. I will start with the July 23rd, 2024 regular meeting minutes of the Amherst Township Trustees. The meeting was called together at 7 p.m. by Lynch, pledge to the flag. Roll call: Lynch, Urick, and Kish were present. Abraham was absent. Additional attendees: G. Lynch, K. Smarsh, C. Nyhart, M. Morosco, and Deputy Fuller. 7/7/24, a motion by Urick, seconded by Lynch, to approve the July 9th, 2024 regular meeting minutes as presented. All ayes. 7/8/24, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Urick, moved to approve the financial reports and payment of items on the payment listing as presented and with reservations. All ayes. 7/9/24, motion by Lynch, seconded by Urick, moved to approve that the June 2024 credit card account transaction detail has been reviewed for policy and is accepted as presented, subject to investigation. All ayes. Under audience concerns, B. Buchanan, who is running for state rep in District 54, wanted to introduce herself. Under correspondence, we did receive 2 items of correspondence. One notice from the Department of Commerce noting C&D liquor permits were expiring on October 1st, 2024, and inquiring if there were any issues and if the township wanted to deny any renewals. Also, a letter from the Lorain County Prosecutor regarding a 29.46-acre vacant lot located on the easterly side of Levitt Road between 9261 Levitt Road and 9455 Levitt Road going into tax foreclosure. Trustee Lynch presented a flyer from the Ohio Department of Development regarding upskilling your workforce with tech cred. This program gives employers a chance to upskill current and future employees with training. This is a reimbursable program, and there are current discussions with LCCC to assist with the upfront cost to businesses. Trustee Lynch also noted that we will keep the item regarding the fraud reporting and training from the Ohio Auditor State Keith Faber for all township employees open until we have 100% completion. Fiscal Officer Kish will stay on top of sending out periodic reminders to complete this training. The training needs to be completed by 9/28/24. Under reports, Ambulance, Sandstone Joint Ambulance District quarterly meeting will be August 21st, 2024 at 4 p.m. at the Amherst Fire Station. Under Sheriff, Deputy Fuller had nothing to report this month. Under Zoning Inspector D'Ambrosio was absent, so Trustee Lynch reported that they are still waiting on the get-go market for additional review from ODOT regarding Route 58 access. Fire Inspector inquired about commercial fire inspection fees, and we are still looking at doing this. Trustee Lynch noted that he believes Township Administrator L. Ashley is working with the Prosecutor's Office on wording. Road, Park, and Cemetery, Road Superintendent Smarsh reported all typical maintenance is underway. OPWC work has begun on Moss Canyon, and tomorrow they will be tearing up the cul-de-sac on Deepwood for the scheduled repair. Trustee Lynch brought up an item regarding repurchasing 4 lots, numbers 182 A, B, C, and 194B, section 4 in Kendig Cemetery. Trustee Urick asked that this item be tabled till the next meeting so that he could do a bit more research. This will be revisited at the August 13th Amherst Township Trustee meeting. Phase 2, Trustee Lynch reported the Lorain County Stormwater Management District held their annual Stormwater District meeting on July 18th, 2024. We are still waiting for easements to be approved along the Batten House ditch. Complaints are being handled by the designated individual. Under unfinished business, Trustee Urick reported 2 more streetlights have been reported as out. Trustee Urick also mentioned we should have an answer by the next meeting regarding the credit on our stormwater fee for the gravel lot and drive at the yard waste lot. Trustee Lynch reported the Solid Waste Consortium met on Wednesday, July 17th, 2024, and there have been unidentified waste haulers showing up in other townships. There will be a fuel price reduction, and the recycle reports that had to be entered into the retract system no longer need to be entered by the townships. The next consortium meeting will be held on 10/16/24 at 5:30 p.m. at the Lorain County Solid Waste Learning Center. At the meeting, Dave Blevins announced that there will not be an ag tire collection this year due to dwindling numbers. This will be held every other year, and that they hired a new part-time administrative assistant. The next regularly scheduled meeting will be Tuesday, August 13th, 2024 at 7 p.m. at the Amherst Township Hall. 7/10/23, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Urick, move to enter into executive session at 7:51 PM according to ORC Sections 121.22G3 to discuss disputes involving the public body that are the subject of pending or imminent court action. All ayes. 7:11:23, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Urick, move to return from executive session at 8:11 PM. All ayes. 7:12:24, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Urick, to adjourn at 8:12 PM. All ayes.
Are there any changes or corrections to the July 23rd meeting minutes?
I have none.
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Lynch?
Yes.
Urick.
Yes.
Then I have, you have the financial reports in front of you.
What about Jenny?
Oh, Jenny, you were going to abstain. I'm sorry, sir. Lynch? Yes. Urick? Yes.
Any abstain?
Gotcha.
Okay.
So sorry. All right, you've got the payment listing in front of you. The largest payment that's on there is to Dennis Concrete, and that is for all the work that was done for the OPWC portion, I believe, and then the extra work that they did on, I just said it during the meeting.
Moss Canyon.
Yeah. And then also the second quarter from the fire department is on there. That was a little bit of an increase as well. A revenue summary to date, year-to-date revenue is $1,034,765.66.
How much? 1 million?
$1,034,765.66.
It wasn't 67?
Nope, it was 66.
Okay. Just wanted to be
And
sure.
our year-to-date expenditures is $893,650.15. And we did receive second half real estate today, but I tried really hard to get it in before the meeting, and it was not working out. I was
Okay.
cents off, so I didn't want to put it in incorrectly, so we did get that today. It was deposited, and that was $345,333.07. So
Pretty
that will be
much.
reflected.
Your balance totals will be up 345.
Yep,
Okay.
at the
Alrighty,
next
righty.
meeting.
And I know, Chris, you had indicated that we did get the reimbursement back for the stormwater
Yes.
mini grant also.
Yeah, the first one.
Just for one, right.
Any questions on the financial reports? Then I'm going to make a motion to approve the financial reports and the payments of the items on the payment listing as specified in the document provided by the fiscal officer.
I will second.
Lynch?
Yes.
Yuri?
Yes.
Abraham?
Yes.
And what's the number on that, Chris?
That's 8-2.
2?
Mhm.
I'll wait till you catch up there, Chris.
I'm good.
Did you want to discuss the amendment here of the 2024?
Well, we just have to
appropriate-
amend the budget due to dollars not being budgeted for the Redwood development and building official inspection fees.
Okay, thank you. I want to make a motion then to amend the permanent annual appropriation measure for 2024 per Ohio Revised Code, Section 5705.38 through 5705.40 to account for the Redwood development revenue and building official inspection fees.
Second. Is amend the appropriations.
Any discussion? Good.
Yeah, David seconded it.
Lynch?
Yes.
Yuri?
Yes.
Abraham?
Yes.
8-3.
Yes, it is. We'll get
Okay,
that
where
to
are we
the
at
auditor.
here? Oh, didn't you?
We did.
Okay.
Okay, anything else there, Chris?
That is all I have.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to welcome everyone that's in attendance. If anyone has anything to bring before the trustees, raise your hand. Dave? And if you state your name, I mean, we know you, but
Is that on?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dave Moore. I live at 45273 Middle Ridge Road, and I abut the Batten House ditch. Fortunately, that last windstorm blew out of the north, so it snapped some more trees, and they stayed on the south side of the creek. However, over the last 3 years, since nothing has been done back there, there are several more trees laying across the creek. Not to mention the beaver dam that's down on the end. Okay? I've tried to clean up what I could back there, and I don't know what kind of easement we're waiting on, or who we're waiting on, or whatever the case may be, okay? But if it's, I believe you and I discussed the one about the one in Florida. If it gets cut, it's gonna get burnt right there. I don't know what else to tell you. I have no other way to get rid of the wood. I'll cut up what I can and maybe, set it out on the street for free firewood or whatever the case may be, all right? But somebody's gotta come down there and dig these trees out of this creek. How many more times does my property have to flood? And we've raised it 3 feet. And I've sent you videos. So I'm just kind of, at wit's end. We've had a nice dry summer. We could at least get, from wherever the easement is across my property or whatever to get that part of it done.
yeah, what we've got, David, there's actually, when I last spoke with Don Romanchak, and I'm going to encourage you to send Don an email. I think you still have his contact information. Or do you
From the
need it?
stormwater?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you send it to me again,
Okay, I will. I'll text you his contact information.
okay.
Okay? And let me make, but there were 2 easements approvals he was still waiting on from property owners. And the situation we've got, without, first you try to get it with them willingly granting it, and I know one of them, they've been having a lot of discussions with their attorney as far as how this is going to go.
Well, that one that's west of me is just swampland anyway.
I can't explain why people choose the decisions they make, but all we can do is comply with what the current statutes allow us to do. But that's why I'm going to encourage you to talk with Don Romanchak directly, best thing through email. I'd appreciate if you copy me on that.
Okay.
Just so I see what's going back and forth, so we've got the whole picture on this. But I can tell you, we've applied for the grant, we've been approved for the grant, and the next step is just getting those approvals from the property owners for access to get in there, and then we've got to bid it out to a contractor.
Right.
The township will bid it out, but we can't bid something out till we know for sure a contractor can go in there.
Well, yeah, I get that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
I
that's-
understand all that, but,
That's where it stands right now, and that's the situation. I believe the statute allows where you can then force it in, but it's still, that's where you go through what they call a ditch petition process and involves public hearing before the Board of Commissioners. But I can tell you, having participated in some of those, they still get hung up in court. Ultimately, the government entity usually prevails, but it's just a long, costly process. So the preference is going this route. It's the least costly, the easiest, the best for the property owners. But again, I can't explain the mindset of property owners when you're trying to go in there and help them
right.
get something done, especially when it impacts their neighbors that are downstream, or upstream in your case.
Right.
But we've got, and yours isn't the only one on that Batten House ditch. We then come back here further south. We've actually got 2 of them that are being held up, but we want to get the one done in your area first before we do the next one, which will be bringing water down
Right,
quicker. So, that's being held up right now.
right. I just don't want another, 3-4 inch rain to turn into,
I
Cat
understand.
House Lake,
Yeah.
so, I mean, even if you're willing to maybe, like Kevin, bring the backhoe down just to dig these limbs out.
Yeah, that gets into
You know?
another whole thing, because back in the 80s, they took the authority for townships and clearing ditches unless they could show it's impacting the roadway. They do not have the authority, and then we can have another neighbor come against us that we misuse public funds. So the only ones that have the authority at this point in time are the county board of commissioners. That's why in working through the stormwater district, Lorraine County Stormwater District, but what we do is act as their agent when we go ahead and bid the project. So technically, it's still a county project, but we can't go back in there with our own equipment. We just don't have that authority, because again, you never know what people do, and someone will say, you misuse taxpayer dollars. Now, if we can show it was impacting the roadway, and a property owner agreed, then yes, we could get back in there. Okay?
Okay.
And we've had some of those.
Yeah.
But they're usually very limited in what we do, like the one on Stang Road, that floods over, and where we flood even over and we bid it out anyway, we can get into those because they flood over our roadways and create an unsafe condition.
Right.
Okay. But I will make sure that let me make sure I've got your number here. I'm sure I do. And if you can just, send an email, copy me, but send it to Don Romanchak, just wanting an update as to what's going on. You can explain the condition that more trees have come down, you've done what you could. There's also some that you can't reach, but maybe they can get to, or your property, or if it's an easement we've got. The county does have equipment, and for what they call log jams, technically, we're supposed to be able to notify Don, and they can come out and take care of just a log jam. But it'd be limited. It's not going to do that whole section of a ditch. So he might be able to accommodate that.
Well, the log jam starts at the Beaver Dam and comes up.
Yeah, the Beaver Dam, though, that's on one
But
of the
that comes,
problems.
but there's like a dozen more trees laying across the creek there all the way up to my property.
If it's on a property owner that's already signed an easement,
Right,
they might be able to get to it.
right.
And
Are
I
a lot
know
of
you've
those-
already said we can gain access coming down through your drive.
Right.
Are a lot of those trees ash?
Yep. Yep. Not to mention the fact there's probably a dozen more laying in the wooded area back there. And I'm gonna have to figure out a way to dig out. I mean, they're not plugging up anything or whatnot, but I mean, that whole property back in there looks, just nasty.
Well, I'll go ahead and text it. As a matter of fact, I've got 3 David Moores in here, so it's a pretty common name. So you're David Amherst Township Moore.
Okay. 3803.
Well, let's make sure it's still the same one. Yep, yeah, I've got it. So I'll send you Don's contact information. If you can send him an email, copy me so that we can, and again, you might try to mention to him about just possibly if he's still waiting on I know he's still waiting on those easements, but if there's portions where he's already got the easements, if they can come in and at least move the log jams off from the trees that have fallen down since then, and let them know you've already taken care of what you can that was on your property or, on your side of the ditch, so to speak. But they might be able to get some of those out if they don't have to go across those other properties.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
All right, thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on then. Correspondence, Chris?
I have none.
David?
I have nothing to bring forward at this time.
Okay, Denny?
I have nothing.
Okay. And we did have some more notices about properties in foreclosure, but I didn't bother to copy those. And just a reminder, and it was mentioned in the minutes, that and Chris has been real good about sending out reminders to people. They're still required to do the Auditor of State fraud reporting training, and that is due by September 28th, and we want to make sure everyone gets that done because the auditors made it clear they'll issue findings, and we can pretty much bet bottom dollar the next audit, that's going to be one of the things they're going to look at. It's a simple thing to get done, an easy thing for the auditors to hit you with. I still think it's also silly when you look at the training you had to go through. I thought what we had in our policy was good enough. People just recognize that they can contact the Auditor of State and report it if they see it. But now you've got to officially get the certificate that the state sends you and sign a document indicating that, yes, you actually viewed it versus having somebody else view it for you.
We are down to 5.
Oh, good. Thanks, Chris. The next ambulance board meeting, we'll move on to reports, is August 21st. Sheriff's not here. I see that our zoning inspector, Sam D'Ambrosio, is not here this evening, but there was an informal site plan review at the last Tuesday at the zoning commission. This is for a 35.78 acre parcel on the northeast intersection of Pile South Amherst and Middle Ridge Road. And the gentleman's name was Tony Benedetto, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. He was proposing and feeling out the zoning commission on the construction of 91 home sites on there. He wanted it rezoned from the current zoning of RAG to R1 with a conservation development overlay. He also had with him, I forget the title and the gentleman's name, but an individual from K. Hovinian, who would be the builder.
I believe the plans that he presented were from the past. Looking here.
Well, yeah,
in the
they
copy that
were,
I have,
yeah,
2014.
David, what he did, if you looked at it, it basically was the same one that was presented by Mr. Makuta in the past, but he did have a change with his engineer on what was presented at that meeting. But it was made clear to him that even if he did get the zoning amendment, our zoning, the maximum number of homes would be 72 homes, not 91. So he knows right from the get-go that has to be changed. And then there's no guarantee of that rezoning. There were several residents from the Copper Creek subdivision, that's just to the north of this parcel, in attendance. And the items they were most concerned with was the stormwater. They already know that since starting from Middle Ridge to the south is much higher, that the water all flows to the north. So they just wanted to make sure that stormwater was addressed there. They also wanted for the conservation area, if they could, to get the buffer increased between the proposed new development and Copper Creek. They also, it seemed, there was a reluctance from Copper Creek residents to have what is currently called Falling Leaf. It's a little stub street that Bob Parrott, who developed Copper Creek, was required to put in per the county planning and subdivision requirements, which was intended to be an ingress and egress to this 35.78 acre parcel. But obviously the people in Copper Creek don't want people coming from a new subdivision and driving through there. So they were hoping that if there was anything that could be done to prevent that, and obviously the potential developer he sees no benefit in using that connection, but that's really something that needs to be discussed with the county, and that was made clear to people. So it was just a preliminary site plan review at the meeting, and then Linda, so you're aware, we just signed a check this evening for the yard maintenance. It's the same property owner we've dealt with for several years between Overland, has property on Overland Road and Deepwood. But just want to make sure that gets on the tax duplicates.
It's already sent.
Great, good deal. That's what I want to hear, so.
It's already sent.
Still don't understand why the property owner doesn't hire their own service, because it'd be a lower cost for him probably than
He's
having us do it.
paid the one on Oberlin Road, but the one on Deepwood, his taxes are behind and he hasn't paid some of the assessments,
Okay,
so.
okay. And let's see, and then Chris has gone ahead and put in the numbers for the budget that, you and Sam have discussed because of the Redwood development and what we've had to pay for the building official there. So we're all set with that, and she'll take care of getting those payments out.
What did you say the maximum lots would be according to
70,
county?
if he gets it rezoned, it would be 72. So he presented a plan of 91, but the max our zoning would allow, if he gets a zoning amendment, is 72. Okay, so we'll move on to roads, parks, and cemetery, Superintendent Smarsh.
Okay,
Yep, go ahead.
I was giving Chris a minute.
I'm good.
Y'all good?
Yep.
Okay, so for starters, the OPWC project was poured and completed. And also we had extra that was poured and completed. There was a concern from a resident about a little small area, about some topsoil and some grass seed, and that has been taken care of. So that is complete. We went through a big windstorm. There was trees that came down. There was a tree that came down in Kindig Cemetery. There is some damage to the top rail of the fence, but we got the tree cleaned up, but I haven't gotten to the rail quite yet. I do believe I have the material to fix it in-house ourselves. We had some work done to the '07 International, the dump truck. There was a small problem after they had worked on it. It was a small mistake on them, but they took care of it, and runs like a top. Very good. There is a couple of pieces, parts that need to be ordered, which are ordered for the playground equipment. That is on its way. And we also had a Lorraine County Health Department EPA inspection on the Class 4 composting facility across the road. And we got an A+. That's all good. Sent a letter, we're golden there. All typical maintenance is going well. That's all I have.
We escaped that storm pretty good then.
Yeah, there was some big trees that come down on Broadway, and the park was a mess, but for damage-wise, in that sense, we did real well.
I was on Route 2 at the time, and it was scary. People were almost stopping. It's like I'm stuck looking at those trees thinking, please move. And it was just tearing the small limbs and leaves and blowing them across your windshield.
I had some evening work to do in Lorraine,
And as soon as you went across the Basco Bridge, Route 6 was closed for miles. There was lots of damage. And I was down in that harbor that's down there. There was actually a huge sailboat that was pushed up on the rocks, and you could just see how much damage was done when that wind come down that river. Yeah, and so many other places, unfortunately, for a lot of folks here, there, in northern Ohio, they got hit. They got hit bad.
Yeah. Glad it wasn't as bad as it could have been.
Yeah.
Can I ask, only because you brought up the cemetery and it may be coming up in Linda's report, this was the year we could apply, and were you able to get an application in?
We did apply. I have not heard anything. And it closed July 31st.
Yeah, it's still early.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they got a whole bunch of applications.
I look every day.
Okay,
We're waiting.
all right. And I did go down on that one complaint and checked it, and yeah, that it was minor and the work looked good, what you had done there. I was hoping to have a video of the project you're proposing for Round 39 for OPWC. Unfortunately, there was, a resident had a large truck parked right in the middle, so.
Yeah, speaking of that, I did receive the estimate for the catch basin.
Yeah, and Linda forwarded that. We're going to go to that next, Kevin, because now, remember, we've been back and forth as to how do we put together the application, leveraging the catch basin replacement with the road project, as was discussed at Lorraine County Township Association meeting, was recommended between the Stormwater District and the county engineer, but we've never gone through one of those. And so not wishing to wait, knowing that we have to have it in by September 6th with the county engineer, is we've got a resolution to pass tonight. It's just it specifically says it's just an estimate at this point in time, but it's just giving the authority to go ahead and complete the grant, so that between you, Linda, and myself, we'll work out the details and try and get the points to the max that we can. And for Chris's standpoint, it'll just be for the 2025, getting a budgetary number, since we also have to accept, if we get no grant money, no loan money, both stormwater and OPWC, we've got to have the funds to pay the whole project ourselves. But the way I look at it, it's a project that has to be done anyway. So any funding we receive is better than no funding. And we'll work out the numbers as best we can, to improve our odds of being funded. But it'll be a small project, regardless. So it's, originally the resolution that the trustees had to consider here, I just put in an estimate of $6,000 for replacement catch basin, and the estimate you provided is $7,200. And, I don't know if, since now the county engineer is going to go through and redo an estimate for the project, and that'll include that catch basin, so it's all done at once. I'm sure that'll help them in determining their estimate, but the portion that talks about the saw cutting the concrete, disposal of the concrete, well, obviously that would be done with the roadway project anyway, so I can't say with the new estimate if it'll be higher or lower. I would anticipate it to be a little lower when you're doing it as one complete project. But we won't know till we get the numbers, and as soon as we do, we'll get it in.
When I talked to Sean today, he's going to get us that estimate as soon as possible, including the catch basin. And he did say that it will be a lot lower than the $7,200 because it'll be done as one job.
Right.
So.
Yeah, and like the one Kevin has, it delineates everything to be done, but it doesn't have it, how much, but it was going to reuse the grate, so it's, because it's in good condition, it's not broke, no need to replace that. But that being said, for roads, the trustees do have a resolution in front of them. It's authorization to submit an application to participate in the Ohio Public Works Commission, Round 39 for the funding of the Rustic Hill Lane concrete replacement project on the west. This goes from the west side of Rosedale Avenue to 209 Rustic Hill in the Hidden Valley subdivision. You can see there's some estimates down there, but I can tell you it's probably going to be under $60,000 total for this project. It's only for half the roadway, so a 14-foot width by a roughly 170-foot length, which includes the replacement of one of the falling-in catch basins with a precast catch basin. And then Linda and Kevin will work concurrently with the Stormwater District to submit a mini grant for the catch basin portion. So hopefully, Sean's going to have to itemize that, and when we get the bids, hopefully that's in the bid book to have that itemized so we can show that portion to the Stormwater District. Again, it adds a little more complexity because we haven't been through this in the past, and I don't know if any of the townships or small villages that participate in the Stormwater District, if they've done this yet. But again, it was recommended at one of the association meetings, so we may be the guinea pig to get it going. But with that, I'm going to make this motion that basically just authorizes myself, Kevin, and Linda to go ahead and submit this application for the Rustic Hill Lane concrete replacement, and that we do plan on doing this in 2024. And then Chris, I spoke with ahead of time. I did put the letter that OPWC requires in terms of the fiscal officer's certification that the funds are available for repayment. Linda will probably get an updated version to Chris once we know exactly what the engineer's estimate is, so that number you see in there, the 54,665, it's obviously going to be a little bit different than that, but
Yeah,
it'll
I
be
have a
somewhere
correction.
close.
On section 2, where it says the project is expected to be bid, awarded, and constructed, that'll be 25.
Oh, thank you.
I was like, going,
Yeah, how
no,
can
it'll
we
be
do it in the
25
past,
because of
right?
how it works.
And I'll send you an electronic update on that, Chris.
where am I going to find this?
Huh?
I was like, oh boy, where am I going to find this money?
Yeah,
Because
well,
you
it's,
said 24.
yeah, sorry about
Oh,
that.
man.
Yeah, I know when we talked earlier, I said next year,
Yeah.
but then I wrote 2024, so.
Well, this one should be 2024 on this. Or 25, rather.
Correct.
25.
Yeah, let's not confuse it anymore, David. Yeah, in section 2.
It's got that number in our head.
All right, so,
Motion's been made, I'll
Yeah.
second.
Lynch,
yes.
Euring,
Yes.
Abraham,
Yes,
That number,
is 84. Hold up my,
okay, Linda?
Basically, we covered most of what I've been doing. The cemetery grant we put in for in July, and I'm still waiting to hear whether we've gotten it or not. It was a $2,500 grant for some tree trimming. The cemetery.
Would have been
the-
nice to have had it before the storm,
I know,
right?
it would have been nice. The cemetery lots that were discussed at the last meeting have been taken care of. They're going to be, it's a family arrangement, I'll just say that. We are waiting, I think, Kevin, you spoke to her, right, about getting a notarized paper? We asked for a notarized sheet saying that she was the rightful heir and what she's doing with them, just for our records. Other than that, we've been going through looking at various athletic leases and the contracts with our building official, and we're kind of trying to tidy up some loose ends on our contracts. I'm working with Lorraine County Prosecutor on one of them, and the other one, I did put out an email today to the Amherst Youth Soccer Association and asked them told them we needed to update the contract and we need proof of insurance that we're listed on it. That's about it. A lot of people have been calling, asking for appraiser recommendations due to the property taxes being increased at such a large amount. I do have a few in my office from a realtor. I don't know these people at all, and I do preface that I don't know who they are. These are just local appraisers that I can give you their name and number, and that's it.
Yeah, you can't make a recommendation.
I don't know any of them I can't recommend, but I can give them a listing. That's about it. Busy with all the permits and everything coming in, and for the K-Hov and Ryan Homes. We've been getting a lot of those.
Yeah, and that's, since you bring that up for the trustees, if you're interested, if you've driven by Sandstone Parkway, you'll see they have the open house signs out there. So if you get a chance, you might want to go back and walk through the homes. It's kind of like a self-guided tour. They'll talk about it. There was, I would say, the biggest change that probably got Georgianne excited was instead of tennis courts, it's pickleball courts
Oh,
now.
nice.
And they also, which I don't think they showed on the original plan in the clubhouse area, is a small dog park area also, because obviously 55 and over, a lot of people like their small pets. So that's also going to be included, which will be just south of where those 3 model homes are for the 55 and over community. And it looks like one of the model home for the single family with no age restriction, they're probably going to be open soon, because I saw they seem to be in a rush. They were working Sunday, getting the yard ready to, start getting that all planted. So it's, again, they're different builders, so it's, you get interest in one, that people are going to want to go to the other also. And as I went through this weekend, it was amazing the number of people coming through. So they'll probably, according to the person that was showing the home, they expect those to go pretty quick. I don't know where these people are coming from and where the money's coming from, but they do expect it to go quick.
There was a whole bunch of roads that were poured over the past couple of days.
On Redwood,
Yes. And there was yesterday there was another foundation that was being poured for the homes across the
that
road.
right. That would be the one on Merriment going to the west then, because they had it dug, but they hadn't put the forms in when I'd gone through this past weekend.
Yep, they poured it yesterday.
And Redwood has all their permits. They're all good to go.
Oh, so they got their...
They have all their zoning permits, and they have all their permits from
Okay.
Tom.
Good.
All the tap-in fees are paid.
How many permits did they get?
How many permits? I don't even know how many buildings there are, to be honest with you.
Well, they would
15,
have,
20.
David, there are 3 homes that are complete. Other than they have 2 of them, they didn't finish the basement yet, so only one of them shows a finished basement. But there are 3 you can tour. And those are the Cahovinian homes, I believe it was. Then you've got the Ryan home has one that's, the outside structure's all done. They're doing the yard work. I have no idea what's inside. And then there are now, based on what Kevin said, there will be 3 lots that have foundations poured. So at max would be 7 permits that they would have come in for. And if you recall, the agreement was for the construction of those model homes is we had an agreement with the developer that they could start with the construction, but a permit wasn't going to be issued until they could connect to the sanitary sewer. And that's what Linda just explained,
Yep.
is that they now have they paid their permit to connect to the sanitary sewer, so Sam would have issued the zoning permit for the homes, even though it's after the fact, they're already constructed. But the issue was, our current policy, was we would not issue a permit till they could prove they had access to the sanitary sewer. So after a considerable amount of discussion, interaction between the county and the township, the agreement was to go ahead and allow them to go while they still had construction season versus just holding them up when we know full well they're going to build. We know the lot's already there. The other thing was they didn't have the plat filed yet, which the plat's also been filed, which is a county requirement. So I'm sure you remember when that came before the board because you voted against it.
Yeah.
And I was talking about Redwood too, though. Redwood has all of their permits done, all their zoning permits, all their tap-in fees are good to go. So as soon as they get their roads in there, they can start building
Yeah.
whatever infrastructure they need for lighting or electric or whatever. And I don't know how many buildings because they're going into, they've gone A through Z and now they're into double digits, AA, BB, CC. So I couldn't tell you right off the top of my head how many buildings we have.
But if you want to do something to help our township and the whole area here, is you might want to encourage the Lakeshore Railway to work with the Lorraine County Metro Parks to get the trail that will interconnect going all the way, if they want to go the full way from Sheffield Township, but for the most part, the area we know they can get is from Amherst Township all the way down to Wellington. But we need those two groups to work together, because if you recall, David, in the negotiation, there is a trailhead that's been land set aside for a trailhead in this development to get onto that. So if you know somebody and can encourage them to work together, I would suggest you do it. If you're opposed to that, I'd suggest you stay quiet. Okay, is there anything else then, Linda?
Nope.
Any question for Linda?
Oh, one more thing. There is,
Yep.
sorry. OPWC Round 38, as soon as I get the proof of payment from Chris, I'll be putting in for disbursement. So they will pay Dennis Concrete.
Okay,
So that should be hopefully tomorrow. I'll
Yep.
put it in.
and we just signed off on that tonight.
Mhm, correct.
All right. Move on, it's, well, stormwater's typically reported in the second meeting, but since Mr. Moore had come in, you know, obviously, Chris, you'll have something in the minutes there. Let's see, the complaints, there's nothing on here that needs to be addressed. We did have some complaints come in, one that was handwritten for a damaged mailbox, that has nothing to do with the township. So I hope that residents, you know, I don't know what they expect us to do on that.
We took a look at it, but it was already, there's a new box that was put.
Yeah, and then Kevin mentioned there was the complaint as far as a resident that wanted some remediation in their lawn from the road project that the township had down in Moss Canyon. That's already been taken care of. And I think those are the only, well, there was a third complaint Chris sent out, but that was taken care of too, and that was a result of a road project that's being done by the city of Amherst on North Ridge, and that's all been taken care of. So I didn't even see a need to bring those forward since they're already done in the time they came through. So then we'll just move on. The unfinished business for those items that the trustees are responsible for, if they want to address those. And David, really, if you want to address the, between the inoperable lights on First Energy System and then also the stormwater credit.
I'm just waiting for an update from Ohio Edison on when they will schedule those two lights, the one at Deepwood and Rosedale, and the one at, I believe it's Fieldstone and Hidden Valley Drive. Got a response back that they're tied up with storm damage right now. Then that was it. I didn't get much beyond that. There's also two more street lights out. One's at Deer Run and Hillside, and there's another one at,
I don't know, maybe you know where it's at, 7530 Oberlin Road.
Yeah.
The north side of the tracks, that light's out, been out. You have an idea where that's at, Kevin? Yep.
And we've got, it's, you know, that's going to be the interesting thing, is if they'll, confusing to me, has First Energy working through the Public Utilities Commission, if we still have to have these agreements, because remember when we wanted to switch, when Hampshire Farm was coming in, and we were putting in the initial lights, we wanted them to be, well, let's go with the LEDs, since there'll be fewer changes, longer lasting, lower energy consumption. First Energy came back, well, yeah, you can do that, but it's going to cost you more. Are you aware of anything changing yet, David, where we can...
I've heard nothing.
All right, well, maybe if you can check with Nick and see, you know, this seems ridiculous. We've got even at the national level trying to conserve energy, become more green, the whole bit. And when you try to do it, someone says, yeah, you can do it, but it's going to cost you more. And it just doesn't make any sense, especially if we're installing it right at the get-go. It wasn't First Energy installing it. But I did see where NOPEC was just awarded to some communities, and I realize it's different in different areas and with municipalities where they're changing over to all LED streetlights. But according to Nick, well, yeah, if we do that, it's going to cost us more money. So obviously, we're not going to do it. But just if you can check with them too, because it's, you know, things, they keep changing, okay? I think that's everything that had to be addressed. So our next regular meeting is going to be on Tuesday, August 27th at 7 o'clock. Kevin, probably no need for a formal meeting or work session, but once we get the updated estimate from Sean, between the three of us, whether we need to sit down together or can do it by phone, we'll get that done. But you know, once we've got the total number, you know, it's just going to be how much is loan, how much is grant, how much is township, to try and get the best score we can get. Okay. All right, there any other business? Any need for an executive session?
No, sir.
Okay, then can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
8-5. I think. Is that for the application?
Call roll call?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Redwood?
Abraham?
Yes?
Euring?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's been a long